So, welcome to What You Missed When You Didn't Exist, and a big bonus, also save for half, 1/4. I am Corbett, and I am 52.
I'm Lucy, and I'm 23.
And I am Mike, and I am 55, so bah!
Well, that's all your fault,
You
really.
young whippersnappers.
And this is a special episode where we're crossing over my two podcasts I work on, What You Missed When You Didn't Exist and Save for Half, the old school gaming podcast led by this guy with us.
Eh? What do you mean this isn't radio?
Wow, so you really just like to hone in on the fact that you're old and you just want to stick with the old stuff.
Well, you stick with what works. I mean,
He's done it this long so far,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's no going back.
Oh gosh, almost 200 episodes if you count Save or Die, so yeah, work with what
Wow.
works.
It adds up.
Mm.
But this show is specifically for Lucy because it's what she missed when she didn't exist. And what you missed was Satan. Didn't know he was around, did you?
Da, 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 da.
In the 1970s, there was a satanic panic. A panic that Satan was in everything. Satan was everywhere. Satan was in all forms of media. Satan was destroying our youth. Satan was all-consuming in everything, which seems like a pretty busy guy if you think about it.
Yeah.
He stays busy.
He does. I don't know if I could say what specifically sparked it.
I think it was a combination of things. There was that conservative reaction against the liberal hippies of the 60s and the me generation of the 70s.
Well, and it's easy to blame anything else rather than look at yourself.
Exactly. It's easier to blame Dungeons and Dragons or heavy metal or all those Satanists who run the preschool programs. That was my personal favorite.
Not the
That was a big-
preschoolers.
Yeah.
No, that was actually a thing.
Yeah, there was allegedly there was like one or two Satanists working at a preschool in California. So, I mean, there was never any proof they like imported satanic speeches or whatever to the kids or anything. But when people found out, they just hit the roof.
Oh.
Like in the 70s, in movies, you started to see The Omen, Rosemary's Baby.
Stuff like Poltergeist, Amityville Horror.
People started going, oh no, there's bad things in the spirit world. And like, okay, well, or it's a show. But the specific things that really kicked in, James Dallas Egbert III.
Oh no.
Yes, that's what
Egbert.
started it for. Well, actually, did that start it for us? Were Chick Tracks before Egbert, or did Egbert happen and then Chick Tracks happen?
Well,
we should probably talk about both.
There were Chick Tracks well before Egbert, but they started aiming on Dungeons and Dragons because of Egbert.
Okay, well let's start with Chick Tracks. Do you want to describe what a Chick Track is to somebody who has no idea what we're talking
It's
about?
a little rectangular comic book that's like 2 inches tall by about 3 or 4 inches long. And it was created by this guy, Jack Chick, who had way more money than sense. And he spent it all to create these little comic books to warn everyone of Satan's power and how Satan was behind everything from integration to Freemasons and Catholics, and all these people are coming to get you, because he was a Protestant, obviously. Drinking, drugs, anything you could think of, he warned you against.
The most notable Chick Track was the D&D one, at least for gamers, I would say. There's a lot of them out there, though.
Oh, yeah.
But it was so terrible. I mean, it was like anybody who's played D&D would look at it and just be, I have no idea.
How could it be terrible, Corbett? They made a movie out of it.
They did. They made a movie out of it. I think this young girl goes to college, meets up with a cult group of Dungeons and Dragons players, learns real spells, and then her character dies, and she's forced out of the group and has to kill herself.
What?
Because,
the way it happens.
You're dead. You can't speak anymore. Blackleaf, no!
It is so terrible. I mean, it's just
and at the end,
bad.
They burn all the D&D books, and everyone lives happily ever after.
The way it should be.
Yep. As all book burnings show.
Oh my gosh.
And then Egbert came about. I think it's hardly hard to tell which one came first. I think you're right.
I think Egbert came first. I won't swear to it, but I think he did.
Because Egbert was 79. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a distinctive date for Chick Tracks other than they were around.
Yeah. Egbert, do you want to cover Egbert?
Egbert was also a movie. Actually, should point that out.
Yeah, because Rona Jaffe went and wrote a book about it called Mazes
Yeah.
of Monsters, which they then
Right.
made into a made-for-TV movie.
And Tom Hanks was in it, so you know it's an award-winning movie.
And Chris Makepeace.
That's true.
Yeah.
Basically, Egbert was frustrated with life in college.
He was a gifted student, so he's like in college and he's 15 or 16.
He's playing D&D and he disappears, obviously because of Satan. But Michigan State. He was in Michigan State. He goes and disappears. His parents freak out. Well, he had maps of the steam tunnels. That was the big deal. The investigators.
Yeah, there was a rumor that they were playing D&D in the steam tunnels live action.
Which is possible.
Yeah.
When you're in college,
it's a
you're
college
bored.
thing. When I was in college, if we had steam tunnels down there, I'd have been in there. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, he wound up married to some prostitute in Vegas or something. I don't remember what it was. It was something ridiculous.
New Orleans. He was in New Orleans. And one of the things he was dealing with was being gay, so.
So Satan, obviously.
79, 80, yeah.
And he was a troubled youth, too. I don't know if he committed suicide or he tried to commit suicide or...
Both. He tried to commit suicide. Then when William Deere, the PI, found him, he went back to his family. But then like a couple of years later, he ended up killing himself for real.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of this comes down to is kids with really troubled family lives that parents don't want to take any responsibility because obviously this game did it. As soon as you give kids imagination, they want to kill themselves.
Pat Pulling, who founded BAD, bothered about Dungeons and Dragons because her son committed suicide, and it's not because of a freakishly demented home life or drugs or anything. Nope, he played D&D. That had to be it.
He committed suicide, and then she started BAD and tried to start a lawsuit against TSR, the creators of Dungeons and Dragons. And they failed, if I remember right. They never succeeded.
I'm not even sure it made it to court, but yeah, she did file it. She made a nice career out of doing seminars and speeches to various police departments and police unions. She was a speaker on the speaking track. Made a nice bit of dough there.
Well, it really kind of hit a peak as far as the gaming area is concerned. It hit a peak in 85 with the 60 Minutes interview or the 60 Minutes review. 60 Minutes was a television show that was a breakdown of big news breaking stories. And honestly, 60 Minutes was fairly interesting and entertaining, I suppose. But in this case, it kind of sucked because they went after D&D and pointed out everything we've just said and how it's bad. And kids who do it are bad. And everything about it is bad.
I think it's on YouTube if you feel the urge to watch it. I know Gygax said after that, he vowed never to watch 60 Minutes ever again because of the grilling he got on there.
I thought they just twisted everything, like they re-edited it to make sure it sounded really bad.
Yeah, they took it in its worst possible light.
Yeah. So that was really what got my dad. My dad saw that because he wasn't much of a religious guy, but my dad saw that and he wound up burning my D&D books and stuff, which was kind of the normal. If you're angry at D&D, you go burn it. If you're angry at metal, you go burn it.
Yeah.
So that's the way to purify.
I actually asked Gary Gygax about it once when he was still alive and asked what he thought about these people buying up all his books and then burning them in their parking lots and everything. And his reply was, "So you're buying my books so you can burn them? Okay. I'll keep printing them. You keep buying them to burn. That's fine."
I think about the same time, not to jump the D&D track, but it seems like around the same time metal was under fire because there was a couple suicides around the same time. And of course, obviously that metal music must have done it.
And there was a lot of overlap in the 80s between metalheads and D&D.
Yeah.
And the Parents Music Resource Council, which was a bunch of wives of senators who apparently had nothing better to do, led by Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife.
Well, Al Gore was the one who did the interview with Dee Snider.
Yep.
Should probably talk about that a little.
Who was the only metal artist who actually went there to try to defend. All the rest hid.
And he did it in full makeup.
Yep.
That was awesome.
That's wild.
Pulled his speech out of his back pocket as a piece of folded up paper, but was surprisingly literate.
Oh, he was incredibly, very smart guy.
Yeah.
But if you've ever seen Twisted Sister, and I totally recommend you go watch a Twisted Sister video or just catch the original 80s Twisted Sister. They weren't a great band, but they were a good band.
That video of We're Not Gonna Take It, I still remember the first night I saw that. It was late at night. My living room was dark. I just had the TV on, and I'm like, what the hell is that? But then by the end, I'm like, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, he's totally overblown, female makeup. Like cartoonishly overblown female makeup. It's over the top, but it's still, he came into Congress like that and sat down and all right, let's talk about this. Because Al Gore at the time was in charge of it, and he was telling him well, this is giving my wife imagery of what was it?
Well, yeah, there was a song Under the Blade, which he thought gratified bladed, scalpel torture of women.
Whoa.
And
right.
And yeah, Dee Snider's like, no, I wrote this song for my drummer who was about to go into surgery, and he had a terror of surgery, so I made a song about that.
But then he points out, maybe your wife is imagining something she wants to do.
Yeah.
He totally won the day. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
He did.
It's sad that it's easier for parents to blame everything outside of themselves, but ultimately that was kind of what was really happening.
Glad we're way beyond that now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we got rid of all that. Now Satan's gone, so everything's fantastic. So, Lucy, how's the future been?
Wow, guys, I sound like a reporter. Just from the future perspective, I don't think we've had any more, well, I guess not satanic panics per se, but I know so many parents are freaking out about, technology use and making sure that your children aren't exposed to the technology that they see on a daily basis. But kids can Google anything nowadays.
Well, you want to know something? The arguments they put forward now are the exact same arguments they put forward to us with television.
Oh.
Kids spending way too much time in front of the TV. Their young, impressionable minds can't discern the difference, and commercials are making them feel insecure and sad about themselves. I mean, it is amazing. It's the same darn arguments.
No, the same thing was said about kids in the 1800s and those book things.
Oh my gosh, knowledge.
Women especially can't read novels because they have smaller brains, so they can't understand the difference between a novel and real life.
Exactly. The thoughts they get after you.
I think I found the people with the smaller brains, actually. But, yeah. It's always something. Something's coming after our kids to destroy them.
Which is nice. I mean, that we care about the future and their minds and making sure that we're protecting them. But I think, at some point it's inevitable. It's with teaching, you're like, oh, I guess these kids can Google this and they know what it is. And you're surprised that they know it. And they shouldn't know it, but they just do.
Don't even get me started on AI.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like Dee Snider said to the PMRC, said, well, if you're really worried about what your kids listen to, sit down and listen to the music first before you let them have it. And somebody, it wasn't Gore, but another senator said, well, do you think it's reasonable to expect parents to listen to every album they buy their kids? And Snyder replied, being a parent is not a reasonable job. And I was just... Thank you. Although I'm the one here without any kids, so what do I know?
I don't have kids.
Well, okay, fair point. I'm the only old person here without kids. How about that?
Well, you do teach, so you deal with younger people.
Yeah,
but you're the only teacher here.
I thought. What? I was about to say, wait a minute.
Rudeness.
Isn't Lucy a teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, she's officially a teacher now.
Yes.
All right. Well, there you go.
So now she can poison the minds of the young.
The youth. Yep.
Okay, I'll send you a card. Tells you how to get a hold of Satan.
Oh,
boy.
I mean, he's been on vacation for a while, but I think he's really looking to interfere with our youth, the youth of America right now.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
he has to
true.
do much anymore.
Start a
Takes care
YouTube
of
channel.
itself.
That's about it.
It's actually kind of interesting how many people nowadays are falling away from religious beliefs. I feel like most people are becoming agnostic or atheist just because of the way that like you guys were raised and
Yeah.
you guys dumped your trauma onto us kids.
Yeah, I
Mm.
I read a report about how most even the Southern Baptist, maybe especially the Southern Baptist Convention, they're losing members. More and more of their congregations are our age or older,
Mm.
and the kids are just kind of going, no, and I can't imagine why. Maybe book burnings have something to do with it. Just a guess.
Book burns.
Well, it's not all that. I mean, a lot of it's the stigma that goes with it, the separatism that goes. That's one thing I think it's really weird. Everybody has their own religious beliefs, and they hate everybody else's religion. Like all of them are kind of some greater deity in the sky. Isn't that kind of count?
No,
Couldn't you?
no, Corbett, no.
Sorry.
Burn the heretic!
Everybody hates Satan and the other god.
Well,
But
see,
our
that's
God
it.
is the right
All
God.
the other God you worship is Satan. See, you just don't know it.
Oh boy.
That's how that works. See, I grew up Southern Baptist, so I have some authority here to tell you how to explain it. Especially if you're
authority?
Catholic. Especially if you're Catholic.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
figured this might lead to religion, but let's try to avoid. But kind of hard to do with Satan in the room.
Send your hate mail to.
Oh my gosh.
No, I will say this though. It led to one of my favorite comedic characters that Dana Carvey made in the '90s, which was the church lady. His church lady was a comedic take on every televangelist and everybody from the '80s who was screaming Satan was the problem. That was the catchphrase was Satan.
Wait, that wasn't a documentary?
Oh,
All
geez.
these years, I didn't know.
Why?
Yeah, it's yeah. But talking about burning books, I had a friend whose dad was a minister, and I used to go over to his place and play D&D. Then, one weekend his dad decided it was satanic and evil, and so did he. So he willingly took all his game stuff out in the backyard and burned it.
Ugh.
And I
Well-
razzed him for it. It's like, why did you do that? Well, they're evil. Well, give them to me. There was some
I
books there
want
I
the
didn't
evil.
have, man. Save me some bucks. Well, I didn't want
That's
to give
true.
the evil to you. Trust me, I am not getting rid of my D&D books. So the evil's already here.
Well, I have a question for the old people.
Eh?
He's older than me.
Wish it.
You're
Wish it.
both old. Good gracious. Half a century. Yeah,
I
no,
know.
not century.
Hey, there's 3 whole year difference. It's the same between Biden and Trump. Ooh, did I say that out loud?
Oh boy.
Jeez.
Anyway, what's your question?
So, okay. Was Footloose roughly based on the idea of the Satanic Panic?
Yes,
Okay.
I would believe so.
it was a PG version of it, family or movie friendly version. But yeah, that was
Mhm.
the idea. There were towns where you were not allowed to play rock and roll out loud.
That's true.
Oh, because rock and roll. Oh, okay.
Evil. It
That makes
leads to
sense.
dancing. We can't have that.
And dancing leads to thinking about moving your bodies.
Which is evil.
Evil thoughts.
Satan is everywhere.
Everywhere, in everything. And he's constantly trying to I mean, I go through Arkansas and there's a church with a sign out front saying, "Don't think, believe." I am not making that up.
Yeah.
But it was the same mindset, It's like, don't do anything that's unusual because Satan's behind it.
Yeah. Anything new has to be Satan.
Yep. We didn't do that back in my day.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
No. That's the danger of getting old.
And now today, D&D is not only cool, there are churches who support D&D as a face-to-face activity to get kids together at the church off their
Oh, yeah.
phones, actually interacting with each other.
No, it's
Yeah.
so cool now. They made a whole movie about it.
Yeah. And a TV show, if you count Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, it's...
In the 80s, because you remember this from E.T. In the 80s, you played D&D, you were a big geek.
Mega geek.
Now they show it as a retrofit from Stranger Things. I'm like, no, it's really cool if you play D&D,
Yeah.
which I agree, but at the same point, really wasn't like that back then.
Yeah, that was not our lives. No, that really wasn't. On the other hand, we didn't have monsters from the upside down trying to eat our faces. So, wash.
That you know of.
Well, that I know
That you
of.
know
That's
of.
true. That's true. That's true. Maybe I missed those.
Oh, well. Satan will get us eventually, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sure he's into something. Now he's in crypto, maybe. Maybe that's it, cryptocurrencies.
Could be.
That is pretty evil,
Or taking a break. Humanity's just doing it already. He doesn't have to do any more
It's
work.
kind of like in cruise control, just sitting back and letting it roll.
No, I've seen he's got a TV show out. He's solving crimes in LA.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Liz keeps suggesting we ought to watch that show.
Oh, this is good. Lucifer is a...
Oh, it's awesome. The fact that he's
Satan's
British
cool,
makes
kids.
it way better.
Did any of y'all see a show maybe about 10 years ago called Reaper?
Yes.
I didn't watch
That was
one.
a pretty cool Satan. It was sort of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of thing, but Satan was there getting the lead character whose parents sold his soul to Satan when he was a kid to go after souls that had escaped and send them back to hell. But he was doing it with a goofy cast, and they were just kind of... He's a slacker. He doesn't go to college. College makes him sleepy. So that was the best version of Satan, I think. Cool.
Well, it's sort of the Dean Martin version of Satan.
Yeah, he was Dean Martin Satan. Yeah, always kind of half pickled.
Although if you think about it, most of the movies and shows in the 70s and 80s always made Satan kind of a jokester. I mean, like, I remember he showed up in Holy Moses and it was John Ritter.
No?
And it's always a comedian who walks out like, hey, I'm Satan. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Yeah, that's true. Except when he showed up on Fantasy Island. Oh,
that's right.
He was pretty Satan-y there. But,
Roddy McDowell.
Face con, so he really didn't have a chance.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
Have we beat this dead horse?
A little bit. No, sorry, Lucy. We kind of got Satan in everything, so I guess you're stuck with it.
Yeah. I don't know if I missed it then.
Maybe not.
Devil's food cake? That's you don't want to miss that. That's pretty good.
That's some sinful stuff right there.
That's right.
That's true. Anyway, for what you missed when you didn't exist, and from Save for Half, that's been the show. So we'll see you next time.
Stay away from Satan. Ooh.